when everyone is expecting a giant bear market and the price moving to the downside heavily on a regular basis, on a daily basis, imagine if you see a surprise. Imagine if something pops out of blue, which really is not like that, and you see the prices going up. What would you actually ask yourself? Like, okay, why would that happen? Right? This CME group, right? You get the point. Then you go on to actually look like, okay, what really is happening? Is the economy shifting? Now, don't get confused. I'm not saying, the green, red, roses, that kind of economy is coming back now. What I am suggesting is a short, but a huge and surprising bull market in both stocks and crypto. Now, when I'm looking at this, I also see some of the indicators suggesting that direction as well. Now, when the inflation drops, automatically the stocks has to go up because if the inflation is already down, central banks now don't have too much to actually say like, okay, we are interesting the rate again. Because if you look at stuffs right now, you would most likely see a lot is happening right now in the market. But you can also go and add on to it like, okay, we are seeing the news. Like this 2020, don't get panic. This is 2020. You see news like, okay, we are going to ban crypto. We are going to ban crypto. You remember all this back in 2020? And you know what came after that? So right now, when the central banks are actually going crazy, ECB just went 0.75%, and that's historical increase for them. And then you see like Bank of Canada doing 75 basis points like that again. And this is at a time when you see this happening. Now, this is 2 months back. Now, the interest rates have gone up and it's going to come to your payment as well, unless the government comes in and put free money into the market, which with the level of inflation may not sound good. But look at this. All of this is happening. Now, this is last month when they actually went on to doing the 100 basis point hike, if I remember it correctly. But what I would like to highlight is this is history. And I don't think I'm smarter than history. When the price of oil goes higher, what happens? The price of food goes up. Now, why is that? It's common sense, right? But the stuff is common sense. It's not the common practice. But what we are going to discuss today and break through is something which you are going to see in next 1 week as the CPI comes out. As within after that, another 10 days, you're going to see Fed coming out and pushing the interest rates, whether it's going to be something like this or it's lower, we'll have to think. But key idea is here. So let's actually break that down and digest it properly so that we know what to expect. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Now, when you look at this, yes, the crypto market is showing you something which it has not done in last 500 days. I would say pay attention. I'm literally serious about this. This is super important. If you are in the crypto market right now, pay attention to this. There is something happening in the market which has not occurred in the last 500 days. But when you zoom out in the history of the market, you see something like that happening. Fine. Now, what does that actually mean to your portfolio? If this happens to break higher in this region and it moves up, what does that mean to your portfolio? Now, how long it would last, no one knows, but the signal is in the market. It's in various different assets which are slowly popping, and you see random coins running up, and you see signs after close to 500 days some of these assets are moving up from the consolidation range. Now, for me, that's consolidation. A lot of people call that bear market, but yeah, this is your impulse direction. This is what you were doing, not coming back down. This is your RSI, breaking higher, retesting and bouncing. So when you look at these, you do have huge questions to answer for the crypto market. But when you come on, look at XRP, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a short-term rally. You're going to move up. You're going to move down. All these volatility is still going to be there. And this is going to be coming soon. Now, yes, we know stuff is happening. And as you go through and read through that, like, what really is happening there and how you look at the merge, how things are evolving. Now, I would say like, okay, this can be one of the positive steps for Ether as a project, because as they look at the move from proof of work to the proof of stake, governments are now coming out against mining. You don't want to give a lot of energy to the mining, but we understand there's an energy crisis happening around the globe, and especially in Europe, we see that having a lot of impact on the common man's life. But what I want you to know is utility will be the biggest stuff. But yes, that's not saying like, okay, XRP is going to be the biggest gainer, but it will be one among the biggest gainer for sure in the large cap coins. Small cap, micro caps, there will be some unpredictable runs. Anyway, now coming back to this one, when you're looking at, okay, the expected is 8.1, great, but what we are going to look at is something bigger. Fine. I mean, in terms of the reduction, if it happens to be 7.98, 7.5, I don't know what it's going to be, but it can impact the price. If you come on to look at the dollar, this is what you're observing. You remember what we talked about this? We were literally going through this to actually get that perspective like, okay, something is changing, right? The price is near a resistance and it is about to get to test that resistance. And if that resistance happens to be strong, it is okay. We now will have to agree on, okay, we are getting a breakout. But right now, if it's me or you in the market, I would actually ask you like, what do you really think about this? Do you think we are getting resisted? If so, we may actually correct back down. Now, why is that important? Because at this time, you see oil making a double top, which we've been talking from some time, broke lower, retest, and now got rejected. Now, this is a weekly chart. You may have confusion. You can actually zoom into that and look at this range. So you delete all this and you kind of, get to see like what's the reality. So you come here, you drop up horizontal ray. This is your level of support, which you can put it like that and say like, okay, the price broke below. You came up, retested that zone and got rejected. Now, when you are getting rejected, also keep this range in mind. This was the first level of support where you got a bounce. Now you broke that level too. Now on a macro for oil, that is something huge, because when you understand how things move, this from University of Michigan, showing inflation expectations, consumer price index for all urban consumers, right? So when you look at this, all items less food and energy in the US city. I'm like, okay, you have a lot of lessons to actually learn from this. So the change is now slowing down. It's actually coming. So when you look at the history of how things go up and come down, it never goes up all the way like a straight line. That's something easy. And when oil drops, the food prices also drops. Fine. Let me go back to the oil chart and see like how much time it has been trending lower, and now it's breaking lower. So like last 30 days, you are watching this going down. And if you remember, last two CPI data which you actually got was less than what you actually anticipated. Great. You actually thought like, okay, this is going to be much bigger. But then you saw like, okay, we thought we actually gonna get much higher, and then we went to 9.1, then we dropped towards 8.5. Now, if we get another month, which is August, at a lower inflation rate, that kind of, reduces the chance of Fed going after another 75 basis point. Now, yes, they put the war of words into the market saying, we are going to tackle this, blah, 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 but if the inflation is already dropping hard, why would they actually go kill the economy? Now, if they want to, just for fun, they can. But if the inflation is really going down, then the markets actually don't have too much reasons to think we are going for the world ending day. Rather, you would see investors coming back in because this kind of correlates a lot of time. And there are issues with other markets as well, but that's going to be the opportunity zone for you, me, and anyone who is looking at that market. Now, other concern for the crypto market in general is this. I'm like, okay, what does this guy actually think? I'm a common human being, normal human being, but I'm like, what is happening? It's clear, it's easy. These guys are not there to protect you, me, or any retail guys. In my personal opinion, I believe this is being funded by the giants, and they're literally protecting them. Why? They want to actually build the infrastructure and prepare their bags. Then they will say, okay, let's go higher. Because now when you see this perspective, yeah, short term, there's going to be volatility on assets which rely on mining. Ether's moving out of that, right? Okay, good for them. Because now we have to actually see, like, okay, what is going to come out in a week from this day. Because we also have the Ether merge, we also have the CPI, then Gary going out. I'm talking, we need to see like what he gives to the Senate. Now, one of the positive steps for the XRP is this. Jeremy Hogan actually highlighting, okay, there is a huge possibility that we may solve the SEC issue now. But for me, I'm like, okay, I don't think so. Now, I can be completely wrong on this one. But what I would say is like, okay, until Ether actually goes to POS, it all works fine. If it's really SEC, Ethergate, that kind of stuff, they should delay XRP as an asset. Because, if you get the green flag here and you go on pushing the adoption, you already have a network which is expanding so fast, which is solving the real pain point in the market. So I think, all the money is going to jump in. Now, when you look at the central bank digital currencies and all of those, yes, economy will collapse and then they will rebridge it. Because when you see like, okay, different countries giving you these for the mass media, understand, there is something happening, because that was the time to really buy into the market. And we saw like in 6 months time, the market popped through the wave one, right? So if you are listening to this, I'm like, okay, read through that, understand what they are trying to put as a narrative into your brain, and then think properly. Most likely you would end up saying like, okay, I don't want that. What I would like to look at is the market. Is the market saying something similar to that? On a short term, on a long term, if you're getting same expectations from the market, showing, okay, we may actually correct back down, fine. So dollar coming back down, if you remember, now this is recent stuff. When dollar was correcting down here, we actually had a breathing room, some of the crypto popped, you can actually see that in the market happening. So right now, when you see another one, if we break this level and go lower, which I think has a higher odds, because this entire phase, when we are building this level of channel to the upside, the RSI is reducing. Now, one thing you can do is like, you can just go into Google and try searching rising channel pattern, and generally it's one of the easiest steps for you to do. You go here, you click that one and see like, okay, usually what happens in the market, right? You'll see like, okay, there are possibilities. If you break higher, you would continue. Great. But mostly whenever you get this, you actually see like that breaking lower. Fine. So this is a crypto. Then you actually go into the Forex market. This is Kiwi to USD, Kiwi to dollar. And you break lower, right? Now we are looking for the retest and a rejection. Fine. So possibilities here is like, okay, if you break down, you're going down. Fine. Everyone knows that. But what you're trying to look at is what does your indicator suggest? Because when your market is tilting and the indicator suggests you may go lower, I would actually keep my eyes focused here. This is your previous level of support. If that breaks in the RSI, it may not stop here. Because, usually RSI is an indicator which gives you real idea. Unlike, others are most likely following the price. So this one actually for me gives a narrative. Okay, this is the possibility which is coming ahead. So if you are in that sense, now we are in crypto market. Great. You're looking at the market saying like, what can I expect? So this can be that bounce to the upside. Now it's not going to be that paranormal activity in the crypto market going boom. That can come in, but you may need some more news. Yes, you already have technical stuff happening which didn't happen for the last 500 days, but you also need the market shift, the narrative shift, right? And that can come if the Ethereum merger is going to be great and everything works fine. That's one. Then the CPI, if it's lower, say anything below 8, that's great. Now you actually have a room for 10 days. Now 10 days is not big. Then comes the Fed. If they go with 50 basis point or lower, the market has already priced in. Remember this, the market has already priced in 75 basis points with the last week's word of words, right? Word of words from the Fed chair, Jackson Hole. They actually, kind of bashed the market just with some few words. He took the mic and he's like, blah, blah, blah. The market goes down. Fine. If the market understands like, okay, it's not 75 basis point, it's going to be 50 or 25 or anything lower, the market should actually price that in, because the market always try to follow and digest this level of information which we get. Fine. So as we just talked about the general market, look at this. Ether is consolidating. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Ether, but when you pay that amount of gas fees and you're not really friendly, fine. Now, if this actually breaks higher and you consider this on a monthly, you would actually most likely say like, okay, this is actually a big pattern with a possibility of this running higher in terms of the dominance. And you look at the MACD here on a monthly, it's going to cross back higher. And what you're trying to look at on a monthly is that it has already broken higher. It's starting to move higher. As you get another slow movement inside this month, you're at this range. As you break, you're going to look at the next level here and this one after that. After that, you literally don't have much of a resistance. So if money is being moved out of the mining ecosystem, keep your mind focused. There's going to be a lot of coins which are still relying heavily on mining. And if, okay, that's a big if, governments really say no more mining, no more electricity for you guys, down with you. That's bad. But always remember, there will be countries who will they will put the red carpet and call, come here, we have a ton of energy, you can do this stuff here. Just, it will be completely centralized at that point, that one nation can decide what to happen, what not. But again, it may continue. The story will still evolve. So as far as the XRP is considered, we are moving higher, we are trying to break higher. And remember this, when XRP BTC moves higher, breaks higher, usually the dollar value also follows. Because remember this, BTC is an appreciating asset if you look at it over long term, and dollar is not. So when you are breaking higher against an appreciating asset, that does mean you have a higher probability in XRP that this time when you break higher here, you are going to continue higher in dollar terms too. Because right now, you do have this resistance which you are breaking. Fine. But once you break this level, the horizontal level, this is what I'm talking about. That's like, okay, you're moving much higher. Then another one. So yes, with related to BTC, you are seeing XRP is gaining, but understand this. When we say buy low, sell high, this is how low you can actually get. Now it's been long time. Patience was really hard and it is still hard. But those who buy into these get to benefit when these kind of pops happen. And yes, in the market, you'd regularly see some small caps actually doing some wonderful numbers. But also remember, if you are inside that, what you want to make sure is you also get the money out. But if you are inside this market looking at a lot of different assets to see where you have opportunities, where it's safe to enter, where you can also exit with some profits, make sure you do proper diligence before you enter. Because you're going to get a lot of volatility inside this. You're going to see up, down, and all. But if you are in there for short to medium term, remember that you're in there for short to medium term. When your targets are hit, move out. That's why I post whenever I buy, I'm still buying. I'm still adding on to some of my trades because, we expected that to work and it did work. In just 24 hours, they are slowly starting to move back up. One is slow, another one is already bouncing. Buy the dip scenario is now there in a lot of different assets. What you need to do is you need to understand there is opportunity in the market. There's a lot of opportunity in the market and there will be opportunities. You need to make sure you understand that and you're positioned well. So you slowly enter into the market. A lot of people would say this is the time to exit. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong on this one, but I think taking profits is going to be important because what we are going to have is a short but surprising rally or a blow off the top for Bitcoin. So guys, if you received value for your time, please read that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.